call him.
But what if she belongs to this house? He might get angry.
Call him. Whatever happens, happens. As we spoke, both of us became slightly absent-minded, perhaps only for a few seconds. And then, when we looked again, the swaying young woman was gone.
Tonight's story comes from the master of atmospheric storytelling, Bibhutibhushan Bandopadhyay. A tale that begins as a simple travel memory, but slowly turns into something far more unsettling. It is a strange encounter on a moonlit night in the mountains of Kashmir, where two travelers witness something that cannot easily be explained. This is a quiet psychological horror, a story of an apparition, a shadowy figure seen in the cold light of the moon. Let us begin. The Shadowy Figure.
I heard this story from a friend, a man who had traveled across many lands, gentle in nature, witty, and deeply educated. He lived in Calcutta, and whenever we met, our conversations would stretch deep into the night. It is, in truth, exceedingly rare to find someone who truly resonates with the mind. We meet many people in life, yet most connections remain merely verbal. Differences in habit, character, belief, and intellect stand quietly between us. And yet, we work together in offices, colleges, courts, meet twice a day, address each other as elder brother or uncle, even exchange betel leaves. But only up to that point. The heart never truly agrees, never feels that joy of conversation that breathes life into the soul. On a secluded, rainy day, the company of Horipodo from the office would not seem particularly desirable. My friend's name, well, let that remain unsaid. Why invite needless curiosity? There are always too many idle minds eager to pry. He is an educated man, employed at a scientific institution. He has money and owns a house in Calcutta. There was nothing stopping him from keeping a motor car in his garage. Yet he lived without extravagance or indulgence. That is enough of an introduction. It was a day of relentless monsoon rain. Sitting alone at home felt unbearable, so I boarded a train and made my way to Calcutta. The rain was fierce. Tram services had stopped. Buses were scarce. I waded through waterlogged streets and finally reached my friend's house. Needless to say, he was delighted to see me. Hot tea was served at once, along with food. We exchanged the usual courtesies. And soon I sank into the cushioned armchair in his sitting room, stretching out in ease. By evening, the rain returned with renewed force. The air grew colder. We had to switch off the fan. My friend's hospitality is well known to me, he said.
There's a stove upstairs. Come, Let's move to the upper room. No one else will come in this rain. Let me put the khichdi on the stove. We have eggs, we have potatoes.
Excellent.
Shall I send Raghu to fetch some fish?
No need. This will be more than enough for us.
Come upstairs. You'll dine here tonight. And stay as well.
Where else would I go?
Even if you wished to, I wouldn't let you leave.
The upstairs room served as his library. Glass cabinets lined the walls, filled mostly with books on science and history. Large oil paintings adorned the walls, not portraits, but landscapes, scenes of the Himalayas, painted by skilled hands. My friend loved the Himalayas deeply. The geography of that region was at his fingertips. Many nights had passed listening to his vivid tales of Himalayan journeys, without us even noticing the passage of time. When I entered the room, a picture book lay open on the table.
Have you seen this? The Himalayan Journal. It contains Sven Hedin's travel accounts.
From where?
Kashmir.
I didn't know Sven Hedin traveled to such refined places. From Taklamakan to Karakoram, he seemed drawn only to the most remote and perilous regions.
Not this time. He has described some truly beautiful scenery here. You should read it.
The man had an eye, something not everyone possesses.
Absolutely true.
From there, our conversation drifted almost entirely toward Kashmir. Kashmir was something of a pilgrimage for my friend. Whenever the weariness of city life overwhelmed him, he would travel across lands, across borders, to rest his mind and eyes. And Kashmir he had visited many times. Usually the mere mention of Kashmir would set him speaking endlessly. But this time, he introduced a different subject. An experience. Something beyond the natural. And it had occurred on the road to Kashmir. My friend began.
That year, just after the Durga Puja, I set out for Kashmir with my childhood friend, Ratikanta Maitra. We had planned it together and traveled in his own motorcar. Ratikanta had a habit. Every year, he would take his car along the Grand Trunk Road, wandering wherever the road called him. This time, at my suggestion, he agreed to head toward Kashmir. Enduring both the pleasures and hardships of the journey, we eventually reached Delhi. After resting there for 2 days, we resumed our journey. The rest of the road passed well enough. There is no need to describe it in detail. Three days after leaving Delhi, by evening, we arrived at Kohala. We stopped the car and sat down at a small tea shop in the marketplace. The cleaner, Randin, and our servant Nathubag remained with the car. Though Nathubag's name might not sound Bengali, he was in fact from Tamluk in Medinipur, and he knew no language other than Bengali. While drinking tea, I asked the shopkeeper to suggest a place where we could stay for the night. We were extremely exhausted that day. A proper night's rest was essential. Leaving the Tubach behind in the car, since he would be of no help in such matters, Ratikanta and I set out with Randin in search of lodging. Ratikanta asked, "Shouldn't we also find a place for the car?" Yes, that would be ideal. It's bitterly cold outside. Natubak will freeze if he has to stay in the car. Ramdin might manage.
No need to worry about me, Huzur. I will manage.
But no lodging could be found. Kohala was not a large place. The inns in the market were filled, mostly with Punjabi drivers. One shopkeeper showed us a room behind his shop, but it was filthy, suffocating, without light or air. It was impossible to spend the night there. Besides, if we stayed there, the motorcar would have to remain outside. And despite Ramdin's words, we could not leave him out in the freezing night. Then what do we do? What solution could I offer? We decided to return to the tea cellar. We approached him as though, in this remote mountain land, he alone was our guardian. As though we had traveled 2,000 miles, relying solely on him. The shopkeeper was a good man. He told us behind the market, a path crossed a small hill. On the other side stood the house of an old Jat. He often gave shelter to travelers. Following his directions, we made our way there. It was a two-storied wooden house. From its appearance, it seemed the owner had once been well off. At our repeated calls, a tall, handsome, elderly man with a beard opened the door and asked in a gruff voice,
"Why are you making such noise? Who are you people?"
We humbly explained our situation. We were harmless travelers with no intention of causing trouble.
Where have you come from?
From Calcutta.
I do not rent out rooms.
Kindly grant us a little space.
Who told you there was space here?
We heard it in the market.
I do not rent out rooms.
Even if not for rent, please offer us shelter. The old man fell silent, thinking.
How many of you are there?
4, though one will remain in the car. In the marketplace,
I can give you only one room.
that we shall accept with gratitude. We watched in quiet astonishment as the man led us upstairs. There did not seem to be any woman in the house. He took us into a corner room on the left side of the staircase.
This is the only room I can give you. There are no others. You may spread the carpet. There is water outside in the tub. I cannot provide hot water. But
He stopped mid-sentence. We felt a sudden fear that he might change his mind. We both emphasized, You are very kind. This room is perfect.
where are your belongings?
In the motor car. 2 more men are there as well. We will bring one of them up.
What will you eat tonight? No arrangements for food can be made here.
No need to worry. We will bring food from the market. Come, let us go downstairs. Half an hour later, we returned. We spread our bedding in the room. Ramdin remained with the motorcar. Ratikanta was utterly exhausted. At his request, I extinguished the light and arranged his bed. Then, I stepped out onto the veranda. The road from the market crossed the small hill ahead and descended into a valley. On this side stood the small wooden house. A faint moonlight had risen, and across the low valley, between short oak chenar and pine trees, the moonlight lay in indescribable beauty. The air was cold. Sleep did not come to my eyes. Somewhere within, I wished to remain awake all night, to absorb this silent, forested valley and this lonely cottage. But the body did not agree. The fatigue of the journey dragged me back, and with no choice left, I returned to bed. Sleep came almost instantly.
Deep into the night, my sleep broke. I sat upright on the bed. A sound, faint, indistinct, had reached me through sleep, and it still continued. I stepped out onto the veranda. The moment I stood there, my eyes fell upon the valley below, and what I saw turned me into stone. The moon had tilted toward the western sky. In its pale, unwavering light, I saw a woman hanging a swing from a tree branch, and gently she was swinging. But the place, and more than that, the time, filled me with unease. I had never been to this part of Kashmir before. Do women here, in the final hours of a freezing night, hang swings in the forest and play like this? If the scene had been merely beautiful, and beautiful it certainly was, why then did it fill me with such discomfort? It felt as though something within it was wrong, something unnatural, something not human. I quickly called Ratikanta. Even when he came outside, the woman was still swinging. Who is that?
What? You're right.
Do women here behave like that?
How would I know?
Then suddenly, Ratikanta exclaimed,
Wait! Where is the rope of the swing? What is it tied with?
I looked carefully. It was true. The rope was invisible. Even the thinnest wire would be visible in this moonlight. But there was nothing. No rope, no support. The swing hung in empty air. And then another detail struck me. The tree stood not far from us, and yet not a single sound reached our ears. The entire scene was like a picture.
Should we call the owner?
Call him.
But what if she belongs to this house? He might get angry.
Call him. Whatever happens, happens.
As we spoke, both of us became slightly absent-minded, perhaps only for a few seconds. And then, when we looked again, the swaying young woman was gone. Nothing. The crooked branch was still there. The pale trunk of the tree stood clearly in the moonlight. The short oak beside it remained unchanged. But beneath the tree, there was no one. The place was utterly empty.
What? Where did she go?
That's exactly what I'm wondering.
She's not nearby, is she?
No one could have escaped within those few seconds. Not from that moonlit valley, and not from our sight. There was only one path, leading toward the market. Behind us rose the high hill, and unlike the jungles of Bengal, the forest floor here was clean.
open, visible under the moonlight. There was nowhere to hide, not in that short span of time.
What is this?
I am wondering the same.
This is pure magic.
It certainly feels that way.
What do we do now?
We sleep and try to forget it. The night was not very long after that. After perhaps an hour of sleep, we awoke. Nathabag was still snoring. We woke him and told him to pack our belongings. Then, once again, we stepped out onto the veranda. There stood the same tree, the same crooked branch. We had truly stood there at the end of the night and witnessed that strange sight. And yet, to our own minds, it felt unreal, as though it had never happened. A dream, perhaps? Who can say? After bidding farewell to the old house owner, we returned to the motor car. Our shopkeeper friend was there, trying to light a fire with split wooden sticks. He suddenly asked me,
"So, did you sleep well?
"Yes."
Nothing unusual happened, I hope."
In his tone and in his eyes, I sensed a concealed question. We ordered tea and sat down in front of his shop. Then we told him everything, every detail of the night. Then the shopkeeper told us,
I know, Babuji. That is why I hesitated to send you to that house. In that forest, on moonlit nights, many have seen that girl swinging. She is not human. Not a human. A spirit. Something not of this world. Leave this place today. I have seen men enchanted by that beautiful apparition. Stay in that wooden house for days, and in the end, lose their sanity. Once, there was even a suicide. Stay too long, and you will invite danger. That is why the old man no longer wishes to rent out his rooms.
You are locals. Do you see her often?
Such spirits do not show themselves every day. For 2 months, nothing happens. And then, one night, it does. There are no rules, except perhaps this. It must be a moonlit night and the final hours before dawn. After dusk, people here avoid that path. Yes.
And so, we left Kohala behind. The road to Kashmir stretched ahead, quiet beneath the pale morning light. Yet neither of us could forget what we had seen in that moonlit valley. A young woman, gently swinging from a crooked branch, a swing that hung in empty air. No rope, no sound, no trace. And when we looked again, she was gone. Perhaps it was only a trick of the night, or perhaps some places keep their secrets hidden between shadow and moonlight. For in the lonely valleys of the mountains, not everything that appears in the night belongs to the world of the living. You have been listening to Enigma Renderings, a place where forgotten tales return, where old journeys still echo through time, and where the unknown waits quietly in the dark. Until next time, travel carefully, and if you should ever pass a silent valley beneath a cold moon, look twice before believing what your eyes have seen. Good night from Enigma Renderings.
Where stories whisper through shadows.